Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning and assalamu alaikum to all of my students. I'm your teacher Sana Kausar again over here with lecture number 3 for all of my grade 2 students. Okay, first of all, tell me students, how are you all and how you are feeling after attending the lectures? I'm sure that you all just start listening the lectures, and if you have any questions, as I told you previously, that you can contact me in the Google Class. So let's start the lecture number 3 of the day. This is again, this topic is from the chapter number 1 and workbook 2A. So without wasting the time, let's move on to the next slide. Yes. Okay. Yes. This is the worksheet number 3. And dear students, actually, for the grade 2 students especially, I try to cover all the numbers and concepts related to the same way as they are mentioned in the workbook. So the basic idea is that you all can understand the concept, and secondly, after attending the lecture, all of my dear students can understand it and solve the work on their workbook by themselves without taking the help from anyone. So I'm sure that all of my genius students are ready to understand this concept. First of all, let's read the topic name. The topic name is comparing and ordering the numbers. Yes, it means that you are going to first compare the number. Compare means when you are going to start, you can say that finding the difference between the two numbers. So comparing the numbers and then ordering the numbers. Ordering means you are going to put the numbers in the proper order according to the statement of the question. Sometimes they ask you that arrange the numbers from greatest to smallest, and sometimes they will ask you arrange the question from smallest to greatest. So the basic idea is that you are unable to order the number until you will compare them first. First, you will find the difference between the two numbers, that which number is greater, which number is smaller, and then you will order the number. Okay, first example is 56 and 65. So you are, dear students, going to compare these two numbers, 56 and 65. Okay, I'm sure that all of my lovely students know the answer already. The blank that is given over here is dash is greater than dash. They're asking you which number is greater than the other number. So I'm sure that my students already know the answers. Which number I'm going to put over here? Is it 56? No, yes, it's 65. 65 is greater than 56. So in the first blank, you are going to write 65. So let's write it over here, 65. Yes, and then you are going to, let me write it again, and yes, 65 is here. 65 is greater than 56. So I'm going to write 56 over here. And now, as you can see in the blank, I mentioned the two numbers perfectly over here, that 65 is greater than 56. So the next example is also over here for all of you, that I'm sure all of my students can solve even before I explain it, because all of my students are very much genius. They know what are the number they are going to put over here. So let's just read it, and then I'm sure you will so know the answers before I tell you. So the numbers that are given is 78, 72. Before going to find out the answer, you are supposed to read the statement carefully. Dash is greater than dash. So actually they are asking you which number is greater than the other number. So you are going to write over here 78. Yes, 78 is greater than 72. So I am going to write 72 over here, and now my statement is perfectly solved. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, this is the slide that is resembling to the slide that is mentioned previously. Okay, this is the slide that is just like that it explained previously, but when you look at carefully, you will understand the statement is changed. The two numbers that are given over here are 68, 59. So you are going to first find out which is the smaller number. Can you tell me which is the smaller number? Yes, 59. So you are going to write over here 59 is smaller than 68. Yes. Now you know that which number is smaller in the two numbers. In the previous slide, we find out the bigger number, and in the second slide, you are going to find out the smaller number. So which is the smaller number over here, students, in the next slide? 81, 84. What is the smaller number? Can you tell me? Yes, I'm sure that all of you can easily solve it, which is smaller number. So you are going to put the smaller number over here, that 81 is smaller than 84. Yes, see, that it's very easy. You are just going to look at the number carefully, my students, and then you can solve it. So before going to move on to the next slide, let me clean my bowl so we can look at the clear look at our next slide. Yes, this is the word that I the same way copied from your workbook page, in which you are going to read the number with the help of the picture. This picture is already explained in the lecture number 1, where you read that what these big squares stands for. Can you tell me what are the number that each big square represented? Yes, I'm sure that most of my students know that. So each big square represent 100. So first of all, students, let's count the 100. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Yes, they are total 700. So you are going to write 7 over here, which is already written over here. How many tens in it? 1 10, 2 10. I mentioned the number 2 over here, and let's read the ones. 1, 2. I mentioned the 2 over here. So the total number that we found in this group is that 722. Yes. Now let's read and count the next block. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Yes, again we have a 700 in this first area, so we will write 7 over here. How many tens in it? 1 10, 2 10, 3 10, 4 tens, 5 tens. I mentioned the digit 5 over here. How many ones we have? 1. So I mentioned the 1. Okay, students, dear students, when you will count it in your workbook, you are supposed to add it, or you can draw the line with the help of a pencil to clear that whether you count each and every slab like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Be very careful when you are counting these 100 slabs because they are joined with each other. So count it carefully. The number that we found in this picture is that 722, 751. So let's read the statement. Dash is greater than dash. They're asking about the greater number. So what is the greatest number? Yes, I know that. All of my students know the answer. Yes. 751 is greater than 722. So you are going to write 751 on the first blank, and in the second blank you are going to write the number which is at the smaller place. But students, in the next statement, what they did, they just changed the question. Dash is smaller than dash. They're asking about the smaller value. So what you are supposed to do, you are going to write the smaller number at the first place, that is 722. Don't laugh at my right handwriting. You know that I'm writing with the help of this pointer. That's why. And you are going to write bigger value over here, 751. 51. So that's the way that you can solve this example of your workbook as well. And I'm sure my dear students can easily solve all these examples that are mentioned in their workbook by themselves. Okay, don't get bored, okay, dear students. I have a very interesting videos for you and very interesting slides for you. Okay, let me just raise the work that I have done over here for you all, and let's move to the next slide. Yes, this is the slide that is already mentioned over here. Okay, let's start it. Let me just raise these things as well. Okay, let me show you. Let's read it. It is something that I'm sure very much easy for all of you, and easy in the sense you know the answer, I think, before I tell you. So let's start it. Which is greater? They're asking you which is the greatest number, and the numbers are mentioned in a two separate blocks, that is 294, 374. So dash is greater than dash. You just read the number, and I'm sure that all of my students know the answer, that 374 is greater than 294. And in the next example, the question is, which is smaller? We're going to first write down the smaller number in the first block. So read the number, 530, 581. Which is the smaller number? Yes, I'm sure that you already know the answer. So let's write it down. 513 is smaller than 581. So in this example, you mention the smaller number at the first place and greater number at the second place. Yes, I'm sure that you guys just start enjoying it. This is the topic that I'm starting right now, it's about something that you have not done uh, uh, might be in the previous class or might be you do it, but in this grade 2 class, you are just going to be more conscious because you know that you are just be careful when you are doing it because one silly mistakes can cause a problem. So let's start it. I'm sure that you all can do it. Always read the number very much carefully before going to solve the questions. Read the number, read the questions 2 times, and then solve the question. Arrange the numbers in order. You are going to arrange these given numbers from the start from smallest. You are going to start writing the smallest number at the first place, and then you gradually move on to the greater number. The numbers which are given, they are very easy for you all. That is 23, only 4, and 98. G. Uh, Tell me, which is the smallest number in 3 blocks? Do you know the answer? Yes, I'm sure you know the answer. 4 is the smallest one. Then we have 23, which is the smallest number. And the last number, 98, which is the greatest in 3 numbers. The second example is the same as we did in on the top block. You're just going to read the number and you're going to figure out which is the smallest number in it. Do you know the answer? Yes, I'm sure you all know the answer. So let's fill it. Which is the smallest number? Okay, let's write it down. 6. Yes, 6 is the smallest number. Which is the next smallest number? 90 or 27? Is it 90? No, it's 27. Yes. So let's write 27. And now last but not the least, what is left over here? 90. So you are going to write down 90 in the last because it's the greatest value. So it's come at the end. Okay, so before going to move on, students, I need to, clean my board as we do in the classroom. So let's move to the next slide. I know the pictures are the same. Maybe you find out this is the same slide that you have done previously, but no, this is different because the question is different. As I told you that read the questions 2 times before going to move on. So let's read the question again. Arrange the numbers in order. Start from greatest. Yes. In the previous slide, you arranged the number from smallest to greatest. But in this slide, you are going to arrange the number from greatest to smallest. So which is the greatest number? Let's figure it out. 29, 45, 73. Can you tell me which is the greatest number in it? Is it 45? No. Is it 29? No. Is it 73? Yes, 73. So let's start with the greatest number, 73. Yes. What is the next greatest number in it? 29 or 45? Okay, I'm sure that you already know the answer. It's 45. And the last number which is left over here, that is 29. So you fill it over here. In the same pattern, you are going to solve this example by yourself. I am not going to write the answers of this box over here because I want all of my students, my dear students of grade 2, to solve it by yourself. And when we'll get back to the school, I will surely ask you all that how many students did their work by themselves at their home and they did not take the help from anyone. And I'm sure that you all will tell me how you complete your work on your workbook. So this is the same pattern question. We are going to figure out which is the greatest number. Is it 97? Is it 89? Or is it 62? I'm sure that all of my students know that what is the greatest, which is the greatest number in it. So you will write down the greatest number over here. After writing it, then you will check the next two, and then you will put it over here, and then the last smaller number you will put in the last box. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, there. As I previously told you, like the classroom, I need to erase the board so I can easily fill it. Let's read the number. Arrange the numbers in orders. Start with smallest. In this box, again, the three digits are given, but they are mentioned in the form of hundreds as well. So be careful because all the digits used 170, 71, 107. So be careful while reading the number. Don't read the number wrongly. Read the number correctly. Then you can solve the question. Which is the smallest number? 170, it's 71, or it's 107. Make sure, students, you are not going to read it 10-7. If you pronounce it like this, it's totally wrong. This number, it can be read 107, not 10-7. I know sometimes students read it wrongly. That's why I'm pointing out this mistake for all of you. So let's start putting the number and starting with the smallest one. Which is the smallest number? It's only 71, which is the smallest number. So you are going to write 71 in the first box. Now let's check the rest of the two numbers. Which is smallest? 170 or it's 107. If we check their place value, they both starts with 100, but then we have 7 and then we have 0. So which is the smallest value? That is 107. So you will mention it on the second place. And now the number which is left we have in this column is 170, which is the greatest one. So I am going to write it over here. Yes, good. Okay, let's move to the next example. As I told you that read the number very carefully, so let's read the number first. 211, 122, 112. Seems a bit confusing and tricky. I feel that it looks a bit tricky. You need to be very careful to find out which is the smallest number because in the first look, they all look so much familiar. So what you're going to do, you are just going to read the number carefully. 211, 122. So between these two numbers, which is the smallest one? First compare like these two numbers. 122 is the smallest number, and now you are going to compare the rest of the number with it. That is 122 or 112. If you read the numbers, you can easily find out that which is the smaller number. Do you know the answer? Yes, it's 112 is the smallest number between these two numbers. And when we compare these first two numbers, which was the smallest number? That was 122. So I'm going to write it on the third place, second place, and on the third place, I'm going to mention the greatest value that starts with the 2000 and rest 200, and the rest of the two values starts with 100. So I'm going to mention 211 in the last. Okay. The last example of this slide looks a bit longer, but it's very easy, and I will going to tell you a method that how you can easily solve it. You are students going to read the number and compare their place values, and then you can figure out which is the smallest number. Let's read the number 909. We're not going to read it 99. It is wrong. We're going to read it 909, 990. Which is the smaller? Which is the smaller? The first one. Yes. So let's move to the next one. That is only 900. So which is smaller? 900 or 909? Yes, this is the smaller number, 900. And let me compare, compare the last two numbers that are 900 or 919. So, which is the smaller number, smallest number in it? That is 900. Very good. So, once you figure out the first number, which is the smallest one, then you can easily figure out the rest of the number. So this is done. So you are going to mark it that this is something that you have already right. Now let's compare the rest of the three numbers. That is 909, 990, 919. So which is the smaller number? Which is the smaller number? Can you figure out? Yes, I'm sure. That is 19, and that is only 9 at the end. So we are going to put this number over here, 909. Very good. So now we have two numbers are left because I mentioned these two numbers in my slide. So I take these two numbers, and now I simply need to compare these two digits. That is 990, 919. They even their sounds look bit familiar. If you pronounce it bit in a hurriness, then you can pronounce it wrong. That is 90, and this is 19. So which is the smaller number? This one. So you are going to mention this number over here, 919. Yes, and the number which we have left in the last, you are going to place it at the end. Yes, that's the way. Very good, very good. I'm sure that my students can easily solve it, and this is concept that you can do the practice. My dear student, if you have my dear students, if you have done this work already in your workbook, I'm not sure about your workbook condition that how much pages you all have done, but if these pages are done in your workbook, so you are going to practice the same concept on the rough sheet, and do practice this concept on the loose sheets to make sure that whether you understand it or not. And let's move to the video of the day. But before going to move on the video of the day, I would first like to mention your homework. Yes, this is the, let me first, oh, I forgot to raise my board. Let me just raise my board as we always do in the classroom. So this is the home assignment. We are going to complete the workbook page number 11 till 16. And I'm giving you almost, you can say that 3 days to complete this task because you have almost 3 days to complete these pages because there are almost 6 pages or 7 pages that you need to write on. But I'm sure all of my students can solve it very well. So let's move to the video of the day, which I'm sure you all will enjoy. And the link is also shared in the below over here. So you can watch it over there too. Till the next lecture, bye. Take care to all of my students and take care. Bye bye.